Well. We got another story of a cop shooting an innocent civilian. This one's called Teen Shot by Cop During Traffic Stop. And the title on this one, yeah, teen tried to save deputy, then the deputy shot him. A teen in Arkansas was shot by a cop for holding antifreeze. Dr. Rashad Ritchie discusses on the indisputable. All right, let's go to it.
I'm highlighting these stories because they exist in the context of why police reform is required. It should be mandated by all communities, not just black and brown communities, not just progressive communities, but all communities. Let me take you to Arkansas. A 17-year-old kid, a child, was putting a jug of antifreeze behind the back of his tire so his vehicle would not roll into the officer's car. He had just been pulled over. He was working on his truck. His truck had an issue where if he parked it, it would have a tendency to roll back. So when he got pulled over, he was being courteous to make sure that this vehicle that he was working on did not hit the deputy's car. So he pulled out the jug of antifreeze to put it behind this tire to stop it from rolling back. And this Lonoke County sergeant killed him, shot him in the neck. The deputy is on paid administrative leave. So let me give you some background to this story. During a traffic stop last week in Arkansas, a sheriff's deputy shot and killed a teenage boy who was only armed with a neon blue jug of antifreeze, according to the family members. Sergeant Michael Davis, and I've been looking high and low for a picture of this guy. Sergeant Michael Davis stopped 17-year-old Hunter Britton near Cabot, Arkansas at about 3 a.m. last Wednesday, and it's still unclear why. Hunter had been having trouble.
No,
with
Hunter Britton's not related to me.
In behind him, outside of a local auto repair shop, and flashed his emergency lights, according to the account of a 16-year-old riding with Hunter at the time. The shifting linkage in the truck was messed up. So when they pulled up, the truck was rolling back. Jesse Britton told Vice News. That's why Hunter went to get the antifreeze. Jordan King, the teen with Hunter the night of the incident, told local ABC affiliate KATV that Davis didn't say anything to Hunter before shooting him. Said nothing. Killed this 17-year-old kid. I believe the witnesses. I believe these other young people. That's a picture of Hunter with a young lady. Sad. Now, the citizens of Lonoke County, they are protesting. They are protesting this police misconduct, alleged misconduct, and I believe it is misconduct here. They are protesting because the sheriff's office, they have not given the family answers that they deserve. They are protesting because of how the other teenager was treated after they shot and killed the 17-year-old. And here's a little bit of that protest. You see, we dispense truth on this show. So let me say something very sobering to everybody watching this.
Hang on. Okay.
If you say nothing when they're knocking on your neighbor's door, if you say nothing when they're knocking on your neighbor's door, why don't you think they're going to end up knocking on yours? We have been screaming and shouting. The blood of unarmed black men and women, brown men and women, has been screaming and shouting from the soil. Do something. Do something about out of control policing in the United States of America. But what happened? Even with almost 95% of Americans believing some level of police reform should take place, 58% of Americans believing it should be dramatic. Hell, 51% of Republicans saying police reform is required. No police reform happens. they're not held accountable. Even now, the person who killed the 17-year-old kid who was trying to be courteous by making sure his truck did not hit this cruiser, that person is on paid administrative leave. Now, the state of Arkansas has picked up the case. We will see what happens. We're going to continue to follow
Mr. Leave. He's not charged with any
legal
crime.
Expertise here as an attorney. What do you see? What are the variables you see right away?
Well, the officer is going to have to be in a position where they've got to show that they acted reasonably under the circumstances here to even enjoy any semblance of qualified immunity. And the fact that what you, as you mentioned,
fucking cops get down there. They're on qualified diplomatic immunity because he has really qualified immunity because they hold a fucking badge and uniform and gun.
Potentially deadly weapon such as a gun. But also, I'm sure what the officer is going to say is that this young man was turning such that they weren't sure what he was turning around with. But the reality is that people move, and people move in various directions. So for police to always assume
how the fuck is that cop going to justify that action?
That I am
justify that. Oh, I think he was holding a weapon. It was a fucking bottle of antifreeze, a jug of it.
I just think that is extremely unreasonable, and this child has lost their lives as a result of it. And so we will see how this ends up playing out. But I think we can maybe largely garner that people might give this a little bit more attention in terms of people with power, because this was a promising young white man with a future ahead. And hey, his life was taken. And unfortunately, having a lot of black young men and black young women be murdered by police isn't enough to gain the attention of people
George
in power.
Floyd, Breonna Taylor.
Just maybe this one will be enough.
Dante Wright.
We'll see what happens. Nothing can bring back the 17-year-old, just like nothing can bring back George Floyd. Nothing can bring back Breonna Taylor. Nothing can bring back the countless young men and women who have been killed by members of law enforcement.
Unarmed people being killed by the cops.
Being there. But we have been saying it's out of control for a long time. But you know what else is out of control? And this is my issue with a lot of people who are protesting this right now. Some of those same people will protect policies like qualified immunity. Let's talk about qualified immunity for a minute. You know, as an attorney, Adrian, that tort law has a way of checking an industry, checking a profession. Because of the existence of tort law, you have medical doctors better than ever. Still not, 100% perfect, but they're better than ever because there's a liability connected to your profession. And because of this liability, it has caused the profession to analyze itself every year and make sure that you restrict the liabilities associated with that profession, because you do not have the same self-analytical behavior inside of the industry of policing. And because you have qualified immunity, they have no reason to be self-critical, self-analytical of their own industry to lower or restrict their liability as it relates to members of the community. Am I right on that?
Nope, you're absolutely right on that. And for those who aren't really sure what tort liability is, it's essentially harm that you do to another person. That means that I, as a member of society, can sue the other person, whereas criminal law means that you'll have a prosecutor or someone who represents a state or government body suing on your behalf. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. The fact is that with tort law, it does create checks on certain industries. So people will get better, because if everyone can sue when you're, not meeting standards, then you're probably going to get right, because, hey, it'll end up being pretty costly at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's twofold. One is you start transforming the culture of the industry, and two, you attract a different kind of individual to the industry as well. A person who is well aware of the barriers and the level of accountability involved in the profession.
Yep. And the thing is, like you mentioned with policing, when the barriers aren't very high, and when the standards are extremely low in terms of performance and there is low level of accountability, then you're going to have a lot of people out here making these gut reactions and responses that are completely and totally unreasonable, but they're not going to change or get any better because there are no consequences. So there's really no incentive.
All right. Let's read some comments before we get out of here. So here's one where it says from Dale Bunn. He needs to be fired and charged and locked up for murder. Crazy Bear 65 says, why isn't that deputy in jail? We know why. Yeah, because he's a fucking cop. Here's one. Gito Quinn. Qualified immunity must be demolished. We must protect our own communities. Okay, 40 Chess. I warned them that they continue to ignore our cries, that one day our problems will end up one day on their doorstep. It's like they're all Republicans. They all only start caring about issues until it starts to affect them. Selfishness and lack of companionship is the backbone of the Republican Party. Here's in Hitton. We are over-policed. Kip McBride says, totally senseless. This kid's life is over. This cop should be charged with murder. No question. J-Boy. Ignorance of the officers and internal affairs should be investigated, and the police uniform should be investigated because they allow such criminal are allowed back on the force. Eye for an eye, and I guarantee you they will second guess shooting and thinking realistically before committing such horrific acts of crime. Guido Vienna. Police punished by paid vacation. Andrea B. says, officer was terminated yesterday for violating policy of not having his body cam on. Here's a good one. I'll read this one too. What? Unarmed white people get shot by cops too? In fact, more white people are killed by cops than black people. Never heard one word about this on the mainstream news because it doesn't fit their narrative. And look how small the protest is. Had it been a black person, the whole county would have been unrighted with Black Lives Matter. Fuck the Blue Lives Matter. Not a single peep from All Lives Matter. Yep. Another one says, is there a dash or body cam video? Arrow Odd said, it's pretty clear why it was murder. Here's another one. Qualified immunity means lack of responsibility for anything you do, especially crimes against people. I like this one. Sad. Some people shouldn't be cops. Yeah. Anyways, I had enough reading that. Fucking A, man. Just senseless, man. Fucking cops get away with fucking everything. From rape, murder, planting false drugs, writing down bullshit crimes, all kinds of shit. That's what I say. That's why there's cop watching auditors out there and activists. People that are talking about, holding the government and cops accountable. It's called accountability, transparency. See, the Discord flunkies don't realize that. They don't believe in that shit. They think all cops are good cops. They think more about, about security than freedom. With that said, I'm out of here. Mic drop. Peace out.